Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Clock Country. I'm Andrew, and tonight we're doing something a little bit different. I'm not going to film myself so much, but we're actually going to film my friend, who's a filmmaker from Toronto, and also a really awesome photographer. His name is Wyatt Clough, and he's back in Japan after, well, I guess since the pandemic. So we're going to walk around and talk with him and kind of go into a little bit about a project that he did the last time he was here, called Uragawa. Yeah, so he spent about a month in Japan already working on some film projects and taking a shit ton of photos. So yeah, I just want to kind of see where his mind is at and talk about his process a little bit.
Hey everyone, I'm Wyatt Clough. I'm a photographer and filmmaker from Toronto. I'm here with Clock Country.
Yeah, that's me.
Online. We're an NASA guy in Western Tokyo in the suburbs. We're working on one of my projects called Uragawa, which means like the other side or the reverse. It's like a very dark, heavy word in Japanese. The zine's already been done like 3 years ago, so this is a project that I wanted to work on again because I didn't stop doing it willingly because of Corona. So we're gonna see what happens, take a couple of pics, and see if it still feels like something I want to keep doing. Probably do a little gold. The thing I love about these old neighborhoods is that the white balance on all the lights is different. So some houses have like super orange front lights, and then the street lights are like daylight. So you just have these really bizarre balances between them, which creates some nice sort of emotive scenes. Yeah, so basically I had some depression for like most of my life since I was like 10 years old. So I wanted to make something that sort of like represented how it felt to be like stuck in a cycle, like a negative thought cycle or something like this. So all the times back when I used to feel bad a lot, I would just walk around constantly at night, be in my own head, and you know, anything happening around me just kind of felt like a blur. And so like I was just wandering, like not even know where I ended up. I said it in Japan because I spent like a lot of my adult life coming to this city.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time walking around specifically here in the western suburbs of Tokyo by myself. So it seemed like the perfect place. I try and get a car going by to get like a foreground. But I'm just loving this little alleyway here.
Yeah, because that was a big theme in the zine, right? Movement, like, not movement, but things moving by.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, so basically the zine, like the way light was supposed to work, is that any humans that were moving around in the foreground were represented by like a moving light. So it was just like, I wasn't cognizant of them being around,
right.
I guess.
The car was really slow too, right?
Yeah, it actually might work out for me.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, Tokyo just seemed like the perfect place to set it because of the way the streets are set up and sort of like the way traffic flows. You can set up shots for these really like singular, ghosty subjects where I've tried to do it at home and it just didn't really feel like it felt very forced because the suburbs aren't like set up in the same way and I didn't feel like I was connected to the idea.
Oh, that was crazy.
I mean, you never know, that could have come out really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
They basically just like dodged the light, so it could have like blocked some cool, interesting light. I intended to do like a series of sessions over like a period of a year or two was my intention. So I shot the first ones in June 2019, the second session in December 2019, and then I was going to do some in 2020, but obviously like couldn't come back here.
Right.
So that was a huge bummer. But I had trips planned to like Hong Kong for that protest stuff, and like all this shit was going down, and then obviously the world like suddenly shut down, so I had to put a bunch of stuff on hold.
Right.
And then I released the first zine like the week that the lockdown happened, and I was like, well, hopefully people have something to read or want something to read at home.
Right.
So yeah, it was all right, but I never felt like it was fully finished. We'll see. I mean, it would be a shame to lose the project just because COVID fucked it up. Finished our first roll of Kodak Gold 200. As most people know, there's been a lot of film shortages all over the world. So I bought a pack of Lomo 100s. It was the only thing I could get, just in case I needed it for something. But I never used it. It's like been in my fridge for a year. But for these long exposures, it's actually like worth having. Because then you can get longer shutter speeds, like 8 seconds, to get those like vehicles going by with the drag and stuff. I'm gonna do.
Nice. Which way? You wanna go that way?
Yeah, I'm gonna go up here.
Cool.
I'm gonna follow the cross.
You were talking about having depression and incorporating that into the idea, or actually kind of expressing that with the photos, right? And the people moving through, even though you're kind of aimlessly walking, but
yeah.
Then how do you feel these days? It's been a long 3 years, you know? Everything's been so fucking crazy.
Well, you know, it's crazy. So from when I started the project to now, I was actually part of the Canadian government's psilocybin trials for people with treatment-resistant depression. So, like people who have tried different medications and none of them work. I was part of the like experimental trial, MK Ultra shit, to like see if you just take a heroic dose of mushrooms, if it can, you know, fix the way your brain chemistry works and stop making you so depressed all the time. And so I like lost my mind in a room with a doctor for like 7 hours on 10 grams of mushrooms, and it was a psycho experience. But literally, like my brain doesn't work the same way, especially over time. I like don't really have the same intense feelings of despair that I would just like, or melancholy that I would have every day. Right. So it's pretty interesting.
That's awesome.
So it feels a bit weird shooting this now because I don't feel as like hopelessly depressed. I have like it's called like Sierra film. Gotta get a champ camera. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't tried it, but I know it. So.
There's so many weird ones, and I just wanted something that was 800 tungsten. And they would only let you buy one of each, so I basically had to buy this. But it's 24 exposures, which is nice for an experimental roll, because then you're not like stuck with 36 exposures in your camera, and you're like, I don't know, this is gonna look like absolute shit. It's actually called Kiss. It's got a cool sun on it, even though it's a nighttime film. I wonder if they'll even develop this. Some of the labs here will be like, that's too weird. We're not developing it. I actually had to tell at National Photo, I was like, このフィルムはジャンプカムから And the lady was like, I actually shot the original one mostly on my Leica M6, and then I got into medium format because that's how film works. You know, you get addicted, you get taste, and then you gotta keep going to the next big thing. But I didn't actually really like the medium format because it looked too clean. It didn't have enough grunge to like go with the sort of, didn't really go with the feeling of it. So I decided to go back to the M6, but I've never shot with this camera, so I'm hoping it's actually interesting.
So I'm just curious about your shooting style. And if you care, like if process is really big, like the process of making it, or if you're more here for the shots and like the results.
I don't really think about photography like that, like process. I know a lot of people are like, it's about process. I mean, if I have an idea, I'll just like go out and do it. And if I like the results, then I'll keep doing it. I don't really like to overthink stuff. This project in particular was like one of the first ones where I thought about the materials that were being used and how it affected the way that I was shooting, because I'm like a very ADHD person. So I'm just like, gotta go. In this moment, to take a good photo with the setup, you have to consider so many factors. So it really made me slow down, and like I have to wait a lot to get these like ghostly light things, and then to expose that properly on film, I have to like measure it with this and do all that stuff. So I guess this project was a process heavy sort of project because it affected the way that I have to be in the moment. But I don't really like to think about it a lot, but I literally have to. Like I like when stuff works out, so obviously I like will try my best to make it work out, but I also don't want to be like overthinking it and then ruining my experience by like trying too hard. This is a Lama 100. It's our 10th shot. We gotta find something cool.
Let's do it.
And I get yakitori.
Okay. And some beers.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're not drinking right now, actually. Way too fast.
Like I get into like flow states and I get really intense because I used to paint a lot too, and I would just kind of like forget what was going on and like really focus in and going crazy and painting and stuff. So I like to use that same energy with photography, but obviously like if I did that, then nothing would work out. But yeah, like even on this is how I made the zine, where it was just like walking around and following my nose, like chasing light basically.
Right.
I didn't like do a pre-pro walk or whatever, because I make a lot of music videos that I have to do so much pre-pro. Didn't do any of that. I just like let the night happen, and then if I got something I liked, that was great. I mean, with photography, you get like maybe 10% success rate, at least for me. I think that's like pretty high. Yeah, just letting things happen, but being like properly trained in your kit lets you kind of get into that flow state, I feel like. It's actually my first time using this for night stuff, and it's got that big 6x7 negative, so it could actually be like too clean and not even very interesting. So we'll see. Because my thing is like, I don't know, if there isn't some like filmic qualities or like quote unquote vibe to shooting film, then like you might as well just use a digital camera because then it's free. That's just my opinion.
Alright guys, thanks a lot for joining and checking out Wyatt's process and kind of his intentions behind his project and kind of seeing where he's at now. Hopefully I'm going to try to produce a little bit more content like this and actually reaching out to some people and doing a little bit more interviews with them. So hopefully you like this. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, I'm Andrew. This is Clough Country. Bye bye. Thank you, Wyatt. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.